let's just sew whatever.
So within your pattern, there is a large sheet of paper with all of the pattern pieces as well as the additional cut list. So we're just going to cut these around the outside line. And you want to save that additional cut list. And I always like to add a piece of packing tape to this list, and then I can use like a dry erase marker to check off as I go to make sure that I have cut everything I needed. So I always have clear packing tape nearby to put pattern pieces together, and for this reason. Wow, great already. And to make it a little bit more manageable, you can even just cut each piece out roughly, and then cut around each piece as you go. If you're worried about your pieces having those creases, you could actually just either press them with your iron or press them with your heat press to remove any of those folds. Just make sure you use a pressing cloth. I would say the most difficult part about this pattern is going to be that front zippered slip pocket. And in reality, it's optional. You could do this back piece twice if you wanted to. And I'm just making it more complicated than it needs to be, of course, by changing a pattern I helped design. But that would make it super simple. You would just have two slip pockets front and back and no front pocket piece if you wanted. And you could also change up how you make this bag with the fabrics provided. If you wanted to use the floral fabric as your lining instead of your exterior, you could of course do that. I know some people were worried, like, well, if we buy the box and it has all of the same fabrics, we're all gonna have the same bag. But I think it's really just a chance to show off your creativity, which is fun. Okay. So there we have all of our pieces cut. We need 2 lining fabric of this, 1 lining fabric of that, lining and exterior, and then we have our additional cut list. I always like to use hair clips to keep my patterns together while I'm in the middle of cutting everything out. So within the project box, your hardware should be included in between your lining and your exterior fabric. It's kind of wedged in between there. So just take a moment to locate that. when you open your box. And then we can just set all of our hardware aside for now and move on to cutting out our bag. So I'm going to make my strap out of the exterior fabric. So what I want to do first is cut that out so that I have that secured. So I'm going to fold my fabric in half, lining up one of the edges. I'm just going to take my rotary cutter and a long ruler and line that up, and we want to cut this to 4 inches wide by about 52 inches long. And what I'm going to do is just cut all the way down. I'm holding my rotary cutter in place, sliding my ruler down, and then finishing that cut. So there is my strap. And then I'm just gonna cut off my selvage ends really quick. And now if you want your crossbody strap longer than 52 inches, the fabric itself is probably about 58 inches. So I'm not even gonna worry about cutting this. I'm just gonna leave that length. And my crossbody strap is done. So I can take my little Expo dry erase marker and cross off my crossbody strap. So now I need strap connectors that are 2 inches by 4 inches, and the ruler that's provided in the project box. This is one of the reasons I designed this ruler, because it's super easy. It's 8 inches long, and so I've got these thicker marked out lines, 4 inches and 4 inches, so altogether that's 8, and then it's 2 inches wide. So we'll be able to get 2 2x4s out of one side of this ruler, and you don't even have to think about it. So there's that, and then I'll flip it to the other side, lining that up, and then I can line this up to the other 4-inch mark and cut there. So now I have my 2 2x4 strap connector pieces. I'm going to clip those together, set that aside, and then I can cross that off. Now I'll put this away. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut out my exterior pieces. And there is more than enough fabric included in this kit to cut your bag out. So if you mess up, there should be extra. So we need a back main cut on the fold. So you can see here, I've got plenty of fabric even after I cut my strap to line up this back main panel. And for this pattern piece, you only need 1. So I'm lining this up on the fold using hair clips, or you can use the glitter clips provided in the project box. And I'm going to use my rotary cutter to roughly cut it out. And then I'll use my scissors to cut out that curve. So I'll clip the rest of the way. And then any other pieces, you just cut by hand. Gonna add another clip right there. And then any of your scraps you can actually save to interface your snaps. If you don't have any scrap interfacing, you can use scrap fabric. So like this piece here, I'm gonna cut out, we need a total of 4 pieces to stabilize our snaps. And this piece really isn't big enough to do anything else within the pattern. So we can hold on to that for that purpose. And then also included in your project box is a marking pen. Yours will have a white cap. So we can actually write on the back of the piece, we could say back main. Just so when we take it to our sewing machine, we don't get super confused. So there is our back main. And I can set my pattern piece aside. And now I can move on to my front pocket. So the full piece, I need 2 of my lining, but I'm focusing on exterior, so I'm gonna fold the top under at the dashed line and cut 1 exterior. And if you're using your packing tape to keep track of what you're cutting, you could also add that over these and cross out as you go. It's a little handy trick. This fabric was designed so that there wouldn't necessarily be a right way or a wrong way, which makes this pattern even more beginner friendly. And I'm going to fold my fabric in half, line that up with the markings that say fold, and then you can either trace it and then cut it, or just use your rotary cutter, whatever feels the most comfortable to you. Okay. So this is my front pocket. And this pattern piece does have a bit of an angle, so if you need to, you can mark the top with a little arrow. I always like to do that with pieces that aren't quite square and might mess you up when you get to your sewing machine if you don't know which is which. Okay. So now I just need linings, and then I need 1 exterior of this piece. So we can move on to that. When I am lining up my folds, I like to make sure that I am leaving as little as possible to be cut off so that we're not wasting too much of our fabric. And I have my pattern piece facing down because that is where my fold line is. If I flipped it over, then I could see the pattern piece, but that is where my fold is, so that is where I've lined up that fold. I guess I could have flipped the pattern piece over, but I am using flawed fabric. The box you have won't have flawed fabric, so I'm trying to be mindful of where I'm placing those flaws on the bag. Okay. So this is my exterior main panel. So I want to mark out my snap placement while I'm here. And this is gonna get covered with a snap. So I'm just gonna use a Sharpie to mark out where my main where the snap is gonna go on the exterior. So it's that second one. This says lining snap placement. This one says exterior main snap placement. And this is our exterior main. And again, if you need to, you can write that on this piece, exterior main. We'll set that in our pile. So I only need to cut out one more thing out of my exterior, and that is back pocket B, which should be a 10 by 9 inch square. So this goes behind this piece here so that it's kind of hidden and sneaky. So if you really wanted to, you could try to line it up on the fabric somewhere so it's kind of hidden. But that's totally up to you. I don't have that kind of energy today, but you're welcome to try it. All right, so we need 10 inches by 9 inches. So I am going to make the most of my small ruler, or this ruler I should say. I'm gonna cut it on the fold, so it's gonna be 9 inches tall and 10 inches wide. So there's my 9 inches tall, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is there. So when I open this up, it's gonna be 10 inches wide, 9 inches tall. Voila! And I've got a flaw in my fabric right here, so this will be my top. And this is my back pocket B. And I've got that one done, so I can cross that off. So I'm pretty sure that's it for the exterior. I could cut out my pocket zipper tabs from this exterior fabric if I wanted to, but you don't have to. And then we've got our pocket contrast A and B, which you could cut out of your lining fabric, or if you've got a fun vinyl or cork or leather you wanted to use that matches or makes you happy, you could do that as well. I'm gonna go ahead and do my zipper tabs out of this because I've got little bits here. So 2 1/4 by 1 1/4. So I'm gonna cut 1 1/4 wide and then line up 2 1/4, 2 1/4, and then I'm gonna do the lazy method and just trace around these. Okay, and those are my zipper tabs. So if you need to, you can write on that stack zip tabs. Boop. And then make sure you cross it off your list so that you don't accidentally cut it again. And this is what I have left over of my exterior fabric. So you could save it to make a little matching wallet or a Devon pouch from SOTAK Patterns. You could do all sorts with it. Right now I'm just cutting off the little pieces that I absolutely can't use so that this piece is less manageable to save. So now we're gonna work on cutting out all of the lining pieces. The lining fabric might have some deep creases in it, but those do iron out. But the wrong side of the fabric will have these like whitish marks from being folded or wrinkled. You can kind of see, so that is the wrong side. And 1 yard is way more than you actually need, but again, we wanted you to have extra just in case you had issues cutting out the backs. I'm gonna go ahead and fold this, and I'm gonna grab you can actually use your project box to keep your pattern pieces organized as well. So I'm gonna grab the back or the front pocket and start with that. I wanna finish that. So I need 1 lining fabric for my front pocket that is fold the top under at the dashed line and cut on the fold. You should never cut towards yourself with a rotary cutter. Do as I say, not as I do. Alrighty. So this is the shorter front pocket piece, and you can see that is the back side, but if you are worried you'll forget when you get to your machine, you can just put short back pocket piece, front pocket piece. And we'll just clip these together. And then we need 2 lining pieces of the full piece. So we're gonna unfold the top there and line this up. So this is front pocket. And then we need a second one of this. And then that's it. For that piece, not the whole bag. You got a while to go yet. This bag is fully able to be sewn on a domestic machine. The materials provided are not too thick that a machine would have any issues. If you have an industrial, this lining fabric, this water resistant canvas might be a little bit too thin for your machine. And what I do to counteract that is I'll just kind of pull on the fabric a little bit. And I always find that helps with any of those issues. And this is front pocket too. And while I'm here, I believe in the pattern instructions, we need to cut off a little section. Where did I put my pattern? Okay, I found the pattern. It was literally right here. Okay, so step 9 says to trim half off the top straight edge of one of the taller lining front pocket panels. So this is one of the taller because we unfolded it. So before I forget, I'm gonna go ahead and trim half off. I always like to get all of my cutting done and then I move to my machine. So that's why I was like, I want to make sure I do that. So then we could even write shorter front pocket there. And now we know that that is the shorter front pocket. So I've got my 2 linings, 1 exterior and 1 lining shorter. So I'm done with this piece. So I'm gonna go ahead and clip it to the back main that I'm also done with, just to keep myself organized. All right, I'm gonna move on to back pocket A. This gets cut out of our lining fabric. And see, this is a lot of waste if I continue on that fold. So what I'm gonna do is bring that fold in so that there is less waste. I'm just gonna roughly cut it out. And then take my scissors to trim off the top curve. And then right now, to save a step for myself later, I can just put these right sides together. So again, I can see all of my little white markings here. So I'll go ahead and line these up using my clips to hold in place. And that is ready for me to add later. So now we're down to needing 2 lining fabric pieces for the main panel. And really, you only need like half a yard of the lining as well. But we wanted to include extra, so if you messed up or if you wanted to use this as your accent pieces that are on your additional cut list. And then you can also snip your centers while you're here to help you line things up later. And then we do need to mark out our lining snap placement as well. So I'm just gonna lay this pattern piece and use, this time I can use my silver marking pen because I can easily see that on this solid printed fabric. And then again, make sure you're using the lining snap placement, not your exterior main placement, obviously. All right, we just need 1 more of these. mark out your lining snap placement. Awesome. And then we also need to cut out our zipper pocket. Interior zipper pockets. These are going to be 9 by 8.5. I need 2 of them. Grab a little bit bigger ruler. Two 9 by 8.5. So once I have one of those perfectly cut, all I need to do is just kind of rotary cut out the other side. And if you need it to be perfect, you can use your ruler. There we go. So this is my zipper pocket for the lining. And then all that's left are the contrast pieces, which are little pieces. They're so small. So if you've got scraps of vinyl you want to use up, this would be the perfect time. I'm trying to decide if I want it to be the lining fabric or if I want to use something else. I'm so conflicted. I saved this little strip here because that would work for one of the pieces, but I think I want to use this one. This is a thinner vinyl that I hope to carry on my website soon. So like I said, we need a total of 4 3/4 all together. 13.5 by, I'll just cut it at 5. And then we can cut our strips out of that. So 13.5 by 1.5. And this becomes piece A. And then 13.5 by 3 1/4. There we go. And this becomes pocket contrast B. Alrighty, so that is literally all of our pieces cut out and ready to go. It wasn't too bad to cut out. And then we are ready to get to sewing. I'm so excited. If this is your first bag, you may as well take a little break, because cutting everything out and keeping it organized can definitely take a lot of time. But I am gonna go over the hardware really quick. You're gonna need 2 triangle rings or D-rings, 2 magnetic snaps, 2 snap hooks, and then 1 slide adjuster. And then included in your kit are 3 zipper pulls and some zipper tape as well. And then there's a cork label and then a woven label that you can add. Those are totally optional, but they are really fun. So that is it for cutting out this bag. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it was helpful for you, and I can't wait to make this beautiful bag with you.